I'm Marv Record with the Campbell County Historical and Genealogical Society, and we've been traipsing around through Campbell County, meeting interesting people, meeting veterans, meeting our next door neighbors, meeting the people that we see on the street or at the store. We wonder who is that person and what do they do, and we have a ton of interesting people in Campbell County who have wonderful lives and they're willing to share that. So this is going to be one of the interviews of our next door neighbor.
Hi, I'm Ruth Reis
And I live.
on 90 Crowell Avenue in Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
And how long have you lived here in Fort Thomas?
60, let's see, I was married in 48, lived 1 year in Newport, so I've been here since 1949.
And your husband's name was?
Gilbert Reis.
And he was originally from same place you were from?
Yes, up in California, Kentucky, or whatever you want to call it.
Mill
The
area.
Gupster's Mill, that area, yes.
And what highway did you actually live on when you were growing up?
The Wagner Road.
Wagner Road.
Yes.
And it was very near the St. Peter and Paul Hickory Grove picnic ground?
Yes, about a mile from
Okay.
it.
Your maiden name was Chalk, so
Yes.
there are about 1 million of them out there in that
Yeah.
neighborhood, aren't there?
And we pronounce it Chalk.
And now there are 4 spellings.
At least 4, maybe
Yeah.
more.
And do you know the background of when the Chalk family came into this country? I know that your son has done some extensive.
Can does, but I don't really
Okay.
keep up with that, no.
Well,
I don't know
generally
too
there were
much.
4 brothers, weren't there, that came to this
I
country
believe that's what it was, right, yeah.
at different times and pronounced their name differently.
They did.
Okay, you grew up in 12 Mile, and I guess you went to school at St. Peter and Paul?
St. Peter and Paul's.
And which building was that in?
It was the old school that's torn down now, it's not
It
there
was in
anymore.
front of the church, and the nuns lived upstairs, is that right? No,
The
they lived
nuns
downstairs.
lived downstairs, and our classrooms, we had 2 of them, was up on the ground level.
And how many students at that time when you were in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade?
I don't remember, there wasn't very many. When I graduated from the 8th grade, there was only 8 of us.
Uh-huh. And who were your teachers?
They were nuns.
Nuns, and their names?
I don't really remember them. I think I had about 3. No, I don't remember their names
Okay.
anymore.
What year did you graduate from
I-
St. Peter and Paul?
Well, I was
You'd have
14
been-
years old, so
And what year were you born?
in 1928.
28. So you came into the world just as the Depression was about ready to be
That was
in
about
full.
right.
And it was pretty depressing for a lot of people, especially if you lived out in a rural area. And I think the carryover of that lasted for years after the Depression. But people learned to scrimp and save and survive, didn't they?
They certainly did.
And your parents were farmers?
Right.
And did your father have another job?
No, just a farmer.
Okay, and he primarily raised tobacco?
Tobacco and had a dairy. We had milk cows. We shipped milk all the time.
And did you get involved in the milk process?
Did I?
Yes.
Oh yes, I helped milk. I'd help milk before I even went to school in the morning.
Yeah. And then you rode a bus or walked?
I walked 6 of the 8 years that I went to school there.
Was
2
it-
years I got to ride the bus.
Okay, and it would have been about 1.5 miles or 2 miles to the
We
school?
were about 2.5 miles, I
Two
think.
and a half. Well, I know that a lot of people that have gone to that school tell me the stories, and we just had another historic moment out there. The second school, I guess, just was torn down this past week.
Yes, I knew it was. I heard that.
And a lot of people had some very good memories. Now, you were in the old building. Now, was that shelter there before you
That shelter,
graduated?
we called it the sheep shed.
Yes.
Yes, that was there the whole time I went to school.
And a lot of people that had spent any time in that, they said it was colder inside the building.
It definitely was. The air pulled through there. It was cold as it could be.
Yeah, and it was primarily built as a shelter so the kids would have a place to play when it was raining.
You had
or
a
whatever.
roof over your head. That was about it.
Yeah.
And water run down through there, and there would be ice inside there, and it was not a very pleasant place to have to stay or play.
Now, did the nuns provide coffee for the kids?
I think some of the older kids, I don't think I ever drank coffee with them, but I think sometimes they did, yes.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting story that I'd heard about that school, that the
The boys took care of the stove, kept the wood and that for the stove, because you had one stove in each room.
And basically, there was one teacher for four grades.
For 4 grades, yes.
And at that point, 2 nuns teaching and...
One was the housekeeper.
I see.
She took care of the cooking for the nuns.
Well, that's kind of a time frame that a lot of us never experienced. I guess they did eventually when they moved that building up to the next, where the had been the priest house at one time, that had been the convent.
Right.
And then they converted the bottom 2 rooms of a 3-story building into the school till 1957. So by the time that you had gotten out of the 8th grade in the old building and you'd experienced the sheep shed.
We called it the sheep shed.
Well, that's probably a pretty classic name. Do you remember who the priest was at that time?
Father DiGiaco.
Father Louis DiGiaco.
DiGiaco. Mm-hmm.
And he had a brother that was also at
St. Mary's in Alexandria, yeah.
Frank
Yes,
DiGiaco.
right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you mentioned that you had 8 graduates with you. Do you remember their names?
Yes. Joe Beckrick. Let's see now, who? Alfred Beazold. And Charlie Soxeter, I guess.
Charlie.
Was the 3 that we had. Joe Beckrick's the only one still alive.
Uh-huh. Charlie got killed in, no, I'm thinking of his brother. Charlie actually died not too long ago, but he had lived on the Shawgetz Road. Mm-hmm. And any of the girls, who were they?
Well, let's see, there was Margaret Lauer, or not Margaret, but Rosemary. She got killed in an automobile accident just right after we graduated. And then there was Dolores Lauer and Martha Geiger and Esther Shack and let's see, Mary Hartman, she's still alive, and myself, and let's see, did I name them all?
I think you did.
I believe I've named them all.
What activities did you do in the school when you were going there, other than academic? I'm sure there were some games that you played, if there was a recess.
We had a recess, and us girls used to have, we'd bring our dolls, little tiny China dolls along, and we'd have that set up on the old church. There was where the bell tower was, there was a little place we used to call our little, I don't know, place that we'd have our dolls set up.
Yeah.
And we'd all bring our little dolls along, and we would play that a whole lot with those dolls.
Did any of the kids play ball of any kind at that time?
I think the
Stick
boys
ball or...
used to play ball.
Yeah.
I think they did.
And were you allowed to be in the cemetery? We've heard different stories about that. Some of the nuns wouldn't let the kids go in the cemetery at all.
I don't remember us going, we were right by it, but I don't remember a no or yes or no we were allowed or not allowed. That I don't remember.
Well, I think in one of the stories that I don't remember who had told me this, but it said we would hit the ball intentionally down into the cemetery, and I believe it was Sister Balbina that got so excited. Does that name sound familiar?
But I never had her.
Okay.
Yeah. I know my husband had Sister Alphonsus, 8 years.
Oh.
8 years. She followed him from one grade to the other, because he always had her for 8 years. We had one by the Sister Mary of the Cross, I think, and maybe Sister Celeste. I kind of forget what their names really were. I think I had about 3.
Well, you mentioned your husband had her for 8 years. He grew up out there a little further up on Shawgetz, on Rice Ridge.
Right, what is now.
And he was a farmer?
His father was a farmer.
Okay, and so when you met, probably was through the church?
Through the school, yeah.
Through the school, church.
Their picnics or whatever.
Uh-huh. And what year were you married?
1948.
And had Gilbert been in the service?
Yes,
And what did he do?
He was in the Navy.
In the Navy? Mm-hmm. Aboard a ship, I'm sure?
He was on a sub chaser. a small sub chaser.
Well, and after you were married, you mentioned you lived in Newport for a while. What street were you on there?
Linden Avenue, it's already gone now. I think it was took by the highway.
And that would bend over toward the eastern side of town?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And then after you moved here, what job did Gilbert have after the service?
When we got married, he worked at Strites Manufacturer Company. And then that closed, and he worked for, White Villa Grocery for a long,
Right.
long time.
So during the war, what did you do? Did you have a job?
Through the war, of course, after I left home already when I was only 15 and went to work for a family in Fort Thomas here, down on what's the name of the street? Down at Inverness.
Near the fort?
No, way down at the other end.
Oh, sure.
Can't think of the name of the street right now. But anyway, his wife, well, she died the week after I went there. So then I actually kept house for him and his two children.
I see.
His daughter was, Betty was 14 and Lee was only about 3. And I was the housekeeper.
And you almost became the surrogate mother
I
to
had to be,
preparing
yes.
foods and things like
The
that.
little guy, I did everything, the laundry, the cooking, the cleaning. I didn't buy the groceries. Mr. Marsh and the daughter bought the groceries, but I did all the others.
And that was kind of a common thing for young ladies to
It
go
was.
into the bigger cities from the rural life to get a little spending money and also get a little bit more involved in something other than the rural area.
Well,
milking cows.
I was from a big family, and it was just something to get out and make some money of your own, get out of the house, and one less for the mom and dad to have to feed.
Right. Now, who were your mom and dad?
Bertha and Andy Schock.
Okay. And Bertha, your mother, what was her maiden name?
Wersch.
Like W-I-R-S-C-H?
S-C-H,
And I know that that family, one of them was a state rep or something
My
like
Uncle
that.
Charlie.
Charlie. And,
Yeah.
you know, as things change, the county has renamed that road Wish instead of Wirsch, W-I-S-H, Wish Road.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
I didn't know
Because I
that.
guess it was, they pronounced it
They
that way.
pronounce it Wish.
And, you know, the map maker said, oh, yeah, they asked him, he said, so now it's Wish Road, so your family, your Shirttail family, were living on Wish Road and didn't even know it, having good wishes. While you were growing up, how many brothers and sisters?
2 brothers and 4 sisters.
And they're still alive?
No, I got 1 brother and 2 sisters gone.
Okay. And I know one of your brothers is named Charlie.
Right.
What were the other
The other one was
siblings named?
Ralph.
Ralph.
Ralph was the other one.
Okay. And what are your sisters' names?
Well, my sister that's dead was Dorothy Steens, and Alberta, which we call Bertie Thomas. They're both gone, as well as Ralph is. And now I'm the oldest of the family living.
Okay, shortly after you left the rural 12-mile area, did you have any hobbies that have continued through your life? Do you do any needlepoint or anything like that?
No, I love to cook. I learned to cook. I had learned that the hard way, pretty much on my own with cookbooks. But no, I really didn't have too many hobbies.
So now you're just a socialite, is that your hobby? You go a lot of
I
places?
guess so, yes.
Well, I know that you've had jobs, and I used to see you at Meyer a lot.
Oh, I'm still working there.
Are you still working
Still
there?
there.
And would you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in that project at Meyer?
Well, even before I worked at Mars, of course, I worked for Rust Restaurant in Newport. I was behind the steam table for about 4 years. And then from there, I went to the Northern Kentucky Bank and Trust, worked in the bookkeeping department for a while. And then I quit. And then eventually, after my husband died, then I started working for Mars as a sales advisor, we're all called. So I've been with them about 15 years now.
Well, that's great that you're still able to get out, and I think that's what helps people stay active, being involved in
It definitely
projects.
does. And I've got to be involved, and I do a lot of charity things too, volunteer.
And the good thing about that, you meet interesting people.
You do.
And you're one of the interesting people that I think we have all enjoyed seeing and being with. That's one of the blessings, I guess, of taking a little time as you're going through life, is to meet people and hear their interesting stories. And I know that the people that you see at Meyer, they probably have a gazillion stories, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and yeah, you get to know them. They're just friends then. After a while, you know, you get to know them, and you talk about their problems and my problems, and yeah, it's interesting.
Kind of like being a hairdresser. You get to be the
Yes, you do.
counselor,
That's right.
the psychologist, but you can't pass this story to the next person, can
No,
you?
you aren't supposed to. No.
No, that's great. You were married in '48, is that right again?
Yes.
And you moved a
I-
year later into
No,
this house?
this was the second house on the
Okay.
street.
I see.
I lived across the street for about 6 years. And then when this house, the people that owned it had died, and we bought this house then because it was larger than the other house.
And you're kind of at the bottom of the street. Has anybody ever driven off the cliff in the back here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at the end of the street before we didn't have, of course, street lights, but I have one now, we pay for it all the time. They used to come down the street and run off to the edge,
Yeah.
and lots of times, and be drunk or whatever. But then, not too many years ago, one of my neighbors here, he had a car that apparently the brakes left loose or whatever. He went out across my yard and down to my side yard.
Yeah. Now, you were able to drive. Did you drive, did your family have a tractor when you were young?
No,
or still
no,
horses?
it was still a horse and buggy.
Uh-huh. And do you remember the first car that your family had?
Pretty much so. It was some kind of an old Ford
Model T, possibly?
Model T, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And did you learn to drive in that?
No. I didn't drive until I was in my 40s.
Oh.
And actually, Ken and Jim actually taught me to drive.
Why?
Well, that's great.
Why did I first drive then? I really
Well,
don't.
why did it take you so long?
You know, I don't really know.
I think generally back in
You
those
just
days,
we just had one car,
Yeah.
and we were really fairly poor, because my husband, his work wasn't too awful good. A lot of times he was laid off, you know, and so we were pinch pennies pretty much. But yeah, and then I finally, when my mother was in the nursing home, I decided I just got to learn to drive so I can go to visit her. And so that's what spurred me on. So I think I was 42 when I learned to drive.
It's
Well,
awful
see.
brave to let your sons teach you how
Well,
to drive.
they did. They used to make me back this driveway, and that drove me nuts because that was pretty hard to back a car all the way back this driveway.
And see, you know, when we grow up and we can't wait to get that first opportunity to drive or something.
Oh,
like
it was wonderful when I learned to drive. It was that to be able to go out on my own.
Right. And it's been a blessing to you in your later years now, because you can still have a job and you don't have to rely on public
Oh, yes.
transportation, and you can get where you want to go. I'll go back to rural life back. If you didn't have a tractor, you had horses or mules.
We did have one mule one time.
One of the fellows out there at 12 Mile told me the only reason they had a mule was to plow the corn, and the only reason they had corn was to feed the mule. And it seemed like you got some extra benefits because that mule could also pull a hay wagon and do what other things. But it was kind of an interesting concept how he had put it to us. Did you drive the team?
Well, yeah, some, especially when we'd be trying to bring in the hay. We always drove the one horse that pulled the fork up into the loft and dropped the hay up in the barn.
So everything was loose hay then, it was not baled?
Oh, no, it was all
And basically they
loose,
would cut
yes.
it, and then they would put it into a pile, and then eventually pick it up on the wagon, is that right?
Yes.
And then this hay fork with the arrangement, it picked it up off the wagon and then
And then
took
the
it to
horse
the
would
top of the
pull it,
barn.
and he'd be on a long rope, and the horse, whatever, how we did it, but then he'd pull it up into the hay loft, and then you could clip something and then the hay would fall. And this horse would be, you would have to drive the horse out and then have him back up to the barn again.
So you had a lot of experience out there on
Yeah.
the farm.
And over talking about the hay too, over the time when Ralph was in service, I was the man helper at that time. And I used to have to help my dad load that hay on the wagon. And that was, I'll never forget how hard that was.
Terribly hard work.
He was up on top of the wagon, straightening the hay out, you know. And I was throwing it up to him. I just couldn't really do it. I'll never forget. It was so hard. I just couldn't get it up
You
there.
had to have a pitchfork, right? Weren't
Yeah, a
you?
pitchfork. Oh yeah, we used a pitchfork.
And the people survived because they had to during the war.
You did. You did. You definitely did.
Now, do you remember saving grease and things like that?
Oh, everything. You say you used everything. There's nothing got thrown out.
Yeah, I was thinking that I remember seeing some of the ads, and people had told us about there would be a can or something sitting by the stove, and all the grease that they collected from cooking got put
Was
there,
kept
and
in
then
there.
they would take it to a butcher, maybe in Newport, and then he would give them a couple of pennies for it. But it went to the war effort for
Oh,
manufacturing.
no, I don't think we
You never
did that.
huh?
We kept our own, and of course, my mother used to make her own soap,
Mhm.
and you put that some of that
Lard.
lard into that with the lime, whatever,
Right.
make soap. No, I don't think we ever had. I don't think we ever did that.
How about aluminum foil? Did you save that for the?
I don't know that we have aluminum foil.
Yeah.
I don't think we had that in yet.
I know those things were pretty common, but maybe it was mostly in the city.
It must have been the city. Yeah, we didn't have that. I remember having the green stamps, you know, to get our shoes and the gasoline and all that. And that was World War II. I think I still got some green stamps here.
Well, maybe you'll be able to get a couple extra gallons of gas someday.
Doubt it.
Well, you know, rationing was a pretty common thing, and people of today don't understand that. Everything is pretty easy to get,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you can't get it at one store, you get it at another. And but at that time, there was a shortage on everything. A shortage on tires, there was a shortage on leather, because everything
Sugar.
was being, sugar, absolutely, everything was being sent to the war effort.
Mhm.
And you were only allotted maybe a pound of coffee a week or something like that, and sugar. I don't think you were allowed very much of that.
I
at all,
don't remember
right?
how much, but I know we had a real limited amount, and of course you, with being on the farm, you canned and you know everything yourself, so you needed a lot of sugar, and that when you were doing your canning and whatever.
Did you have fruit trees
Yes, we did.
and you had berries?
Not too many berries. Picked our own blackberries, the wild ones.
And you probably got a few jiggers. when you were
Oh
out.
yes, way too many.
Yeah. Did you ever use sulfur or anything like that around
We
your
used
socks?
everything and nothing really worked.
Yeah.
Nothing really worked.
I remember picking blackberries too, and I think I ate more than actually got into the pan, but I've got more jigger bites out
Oh.
of that.
They were awful. They
Yeah.
were just awful.
And I think my grandmother actually threatened me. She said, "You're not going to be in the berry picking business anymore because there's not enough for jelly." And I thought, well, I had my share, so that's pretty a selfish attitude. Your mother made jelly, I guess?
Oh yes, jams and jellies. She canned lots and lots of things.
And did she ever enter anything in the fair?
I don't think so. I don't remember while I was home, unless she did after I was gone. I don't think so.
Because I remember going to the fair early, and there were a lot of people that lived
Oh,
out.
they did. That was a big, really thing that a lot of people did.
And they took such pains in arranging the pickles and the green
Oh
beans
yes,
in the
just
jar.
arrange
so
them. Oh
it
yes,
was
so they look real
very-
neat and stacked, and they're just right.
And you know, if you got a blue ribbon, that
That meant a whole lot.
meant a lot. And so a lot of people did that. I was just curious.
Yeah,
if
no,
your parents did.
I don't really think my mother did. I don't think she ever did.
Well, after your family started growing, you have how many children?
5.
5 children. Their names are?
Ken, Jim, Donna, David.
Donna is married to who?
She was married to a tailor.
I see.
and then Patty.
Uh-huh.
And what did I say, David? David and then Patty.
Okay, and Patty married an Eltner.
Neltner.
And we see them periodically. How many grandchildren do you have?
14,
And do you have great-grandchildren?
15
15?
great-grandchildren.
Wow. And do you remember all their names and birthdays?
Oh, goodness, don't ask me those now.
Well, that's okay. I just, because it seems like
I've got them on
grandmothers,
the calendar, but I don't remember them.
you don't have to remember them as long as it's on the calendar.
That's where it's on the calendar.
And see, I don't have any great-grandchildren yet, but already I go through the litany of saints when I come to calling off my grandchildren. And some of them have nicknames. Do you have favorite nicknames for any of your grandchildren?
No, not really. No, they're pretty much all their own.
So, are they all living pretty close to you?
Fairly close, yes.
And you see them all,
They only have one, and that's Jim's boys in New York.
I see.
But other than that, they're pretty well around home here.
Well, you're tied into two very large families, and I know that you have a family reunion. Is this every year or every 2 years?
The Reis family?
Yes.
Yes, we do. We're trying to do it every year, someplace. We just had one last Sunday.
And they're spread out all over the United States?
Pretty much so, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So how many people usually attend these reunions?
Well, if it's just my husband's family and Alvin and Eileen's family, oh, Sunday, I guess maybe we had, I don't really know, 60 there?
Yeah.
Maybe something. I didn't count them, I don't know.
And where do you have your reunions? Same place always?
No, every year we're almost at someplace
I
else.
see.
This way it was up on Reis or Rice Ridge this time.
Uh-huh.
But no, we've had them different places.
Well, that's great. The Chalk family, do they have reunions?
No, we haven't had no reunion. I get together with my brothers and sisters yet. We kind of meet once a month now for lunch, one day a month. But no, we just don't get together anymore.
Well,
We used to, but we don't anymore.
you know, the times change, and I think for the benefit of all of our audience, reunions are somewhat important, not so much for those of us that go, but for the next generation, that they've got a picture or something like that, and that's kind of why we are doing these projects of meeting our next door neighbor. It's not so much for this generation, but the next and the next. And the good thing is, sometimes you meet some of the best people, you've known them, but you didn't know you were related to them.
That's true. I realize that, yes. Yeah,
And
it's
we
interesting.
have shirt tail relations, and I have always said that we have friend-in-laws, people who are related to friends of ours, and we somehow get involved in their family
Sure.
too. And it certainly is a blessing to be accepted into other people's
And what a
families.
blessing it is to have a family.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely. Well, we've covered a few things here. Is there something else that you would like to, because the last question is always the one that's a stumper, and I'll give you a little time to get working on this. I ask people if they've got advice for the younger generation.
Advice? Oh,
Well,
goodness.
or words of wisdom, or kind of hard to give a 15-year-old advice because they already know everything.
Oh, they
right?
do.
I knew
They know everything, yes.
And my kids tell me that as a font of useless information, sometimes you bother us. And I said, but do you pay it? They said, well, we enjoy being bothered by your useless information. So I'm not going to ask for useless information. I'm going to ask you if you've got any words that you would like to pass to the next generation or to the younger folks out there watching this.
I don't, offhand, I don't know what
Nothing
would
to do with
be.
hard work or clean living.
Well, definitely clean living and be honest with people.
There you go.
I think that honest is the top thing as far as I'm concerned.
Now, I know that you're involved in a lot of charities and things here. Are you involved in any senior citizens groups?
Fort Thomas seniors,
And do you do trips, or what do they do?
not very much anymore. I used to through the church,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't hardly make any trips anymore. I still volunteer down the old St. Luke's Hospital every Tuesday, visit patients. I still volunteer at Carmel Manor, helping with bingo down there. And I'm involved in the bereavement committee at St. Thomas to help prepare meals and for receptions.
And all those things are wonderful things. They're needed, and I think most people that are involved, or at least the beneficiaries of your time, are appreciative of that. I hope they are anyhow, especially that bereavement committee. That's a time that people need a little bit of extra help, and the fact that you're doing that, preparing meals and whatever for the family, certainly a blessing that I think they probably appreciate. I hope
I
they
think
do.
people do.
Yeah. I've been to a couple of the ceremonies there at St. Thomas afterwards, down in the cafeteria or whatever.
Activity center.
And the food was terrific. There was always lots of desserts, kind of like going to the 12-Mile
Oh,
Bakery.
absolutely, yeah, we have lots of desserts, and we of course buy part of the food, the rest we ask people to donate.
Mhm.
Call people on the phone, they ask them to bring something, they do. So we've always been pretty lucky with that.
And have you gone to St. Thomas Church since you've been in the
Ever
Fort Thomas
since I've
area?
been in Fort Thomas area, yeah.
Okay, so that's quite a long time there too.
Mhm.
Who's the oldest parishioner there? Do you know who that would be?
Oldest now?
Yes.
No, I don't really know. We just buried one. It was 105
Wow.
last week.
And what was that person's name?
Catherine Bush.
Wow.
Other than that, I really don't know who the oldest one would be.
Well, it's such a big parish, it'd be hard to keep track of that. In your other things that you're doing at Carmel Manor, you say you work for the bingo there.
We help the ladies play bingo.
Is this it's basically a retirement home?
Yes,
For the
it is.
benefit of people that
Yes,
don't know what?
it is.
And it's back behind the fort,
It is,
and it was built as a mansion for someone, is that
I
correct?
believe it was. I really can't remember who did own it, but we've had it now as Carmel Manor for years, and it is a beautiful place.
It overlooks the Ohio
A
River.
beautiful overlook. It's just gorgeous there. Their view from there. They've got a nice building. And the Carmelite nuns, I think it runs it. And they do a good job of taking care of patients.
Are there a lot
My
of
brother
patients?
was there for a while.
Are there a lot of patients there? Or I guess,
Guests, what you
residents?
wanna call, quite a few. I don't really know the count.
Uh-huh. So
Because
it's a pretty large
they have like an
operation.
assisted living as well as where they have to get extra care.
And they have a paid staff
Oh,
of
yes, definitely.
social workers and
I thi-
psychologists.
Yes, they do. That's all there.
Well, it's so good that you're able to go down there and bring your smiling.
Yeah, but we just help
advice.
them, but it's funny sometimes, these ladies, they fall asleep and they can't see the numbers or whatever, just help them play their bingo. Maybe they'll win $1 at a bingo or something.
But see, that's excitement in their life.
Sure it
And
is,
it's
it
a
gives them
social
something to
occasion.
do.
And I've found that sometimes I've been blessed to be able to take some elderly people to their doctor's appointments and things like that. It's a very good social occasion.
It is.
And the interesting thing is, I always get a good meal out of it because whoever I take, they want to
They
stop somewhere for a
they
restaurant.
treat you to a meal.
And they treat me to a meal, and I'm appreciative of that. It's wonderful to meet their friends and, that social interaction. How many days a week do you work? You work one day at Meyer?
Mars, it goes from 3 to 1. I never really know. This weekend I'm supposed to work 2.
Uh-huh.
So
And then every Tuesday you're committed down at the
it's the hospital.
hospital. And then how many days do you work at the Carmel Manor? One evening?
No, we work 2 afternoons a month.
Oh, okay.
Just 2 days, my sister and I.
Oh, wow. Well, your days are full. and you
Most
travel,
times are
you-
full.
And
uh-huh.
you're driving
But
your
I'm
own
not getting
car yet.
around too good anymore. I'm beginning to slow down.
Yeah. Now, have you slowed down in driving? See, my thought is keep going as fast as you possibly can.
I've been accused of having a lead foot in
Well,
my
that's
age
okay.
even.
It's okay. You know,
But I don't have the nerve to drive as much as I used to, as far as getting out more on the highways and so forth. I'm slowing down there a little bit.
well, the complicated system of our highways and the speed limits and the on and off, it makes for...
And my eyesight isn't real good anymore, so I find even reading road signs and such is getting to be hard.
Well, the fact that you're still out and about, and that's why we chose to allow you to entertain our friends, our other friends out there, our next door neighbors. I know that sometimes in the summer, we see people more. Are you a winter person too?
A winter
Yeah,
person?
you get in and out in the winter pretty easy, or?
Oh, definitely
Doesn't
try.
bother you a
Oh,
bit
no,
about-
I try not to let it bother me.
Some people don't like cold weather, some people don't like hot
I
weather.
like all four seasons. And I usually walk a lot with my labor. We used to do a lot of walking, but, well, neither of us have been too well recently, so we haven't do much walking, but we used to walk 2-3 times a week.
Now, do you take care of your own yard?
I don't cut the grass no more, no.
But you do the flowers and
I try to,
gardening and
yes.
stuff like that?
Mhm. But I
Well-
have help with the yard now, because I've got about an acre here to cut, and it's just more than I can handle.
Right.
And we got too many banks and things.
Right. Okay,
Question. Go back to that doll that you were talking
the
about.
China dolls.
What about it?
Did your mother make that doll, or do you still have the doll?
No, I've got a couple of dolls here, but we had those little tiny China dolls.
Oh,
And that we had, but then at my own here at home, I've got a doll that's, what do they have, the hair, the head was
Chenille,
make of, it wasn't plastic, what would be, I don't know what kind of material it was made of.
you,
The
oh, you
clothing
didn't
for the
make it.
doll? The clothing, or are you talking about the doll?
No, the doll itself.
Bisque.
I remember,
Do you have a bisque doll made out of plaster kind of and painted?
it's not plastic, it's,
Sort of like plaster of Paris.
kind of like, I guess, I don't really know
Chalk.
what it was ever made of. I really don't know.
Yeah, I
I've
think
got
it's
one of
called
those yet,
bisque.
I got my mom had made a dress for it, I still have that here.
Is it old doll?
Yeah, it's an old doll.
Could we see it? I like dolls.
So
Or is it hidden away?
No, it's in my cedar chest in there, I guess I could find it.
Well, that's all right. I thought
Yeah,
maybe it was
I
out.
can get it out,
Okay, that'd be great. We'd love to see it.
yeah.
And then we'll talk a little bit about that.
Should I go,
Yeah, go ahead. I'll just stop it right there.
okay, I'll see if I can,
See how it's very,
my
Yeah,
back,
let's talk about those
back's
dolls.
beginning to hurt.
well, I will stand.
Okay, is that the doll your mom made?
She-
No, that
she
you
made the
have-
clothing.
She made the
She
dress
made the
that's
clothing.
on the doll, yes. Uh-huh.
Wow.
And it is a kind of a ceramic type of.
It had blonde hair, and of course it was,
His head surgery.
yeah. Yeah, you don't have no hair left, but
No. And she must have been a football player or a soccer player, because either that or your brothers. That was something about, oh, look at this. This is so precision made.
my mother made all of her dresses out of seed sacks.
And that was a big marketing ploy too, I think. The people that sold it, they had a new pattern every
Oh,
year,
yes,
and
and we
maybe
always tried to
25.
buy 2 or 3 of them together, the same kind
Yeah.
of a sack that we could get a dress out of.
Now these other little dolls, if you'll hold them up and explain something about them. These are the China dolls that you played with on the steps at Peter and Paul.
Yes, it was.
And the one with the little red hat there, that's a little boy.
Yeah, and he had
a dog.
a little cord there with him, he had a little dog attached to it. I don't have the dog anymore. But they were something we used.
Now, while we're talking about St. Peter and Paul again, I know on the 4th of July, they always had a celebration, and somebody had a cannon. Do you remember when the fellow got his arm hurt?
That was after I was gone from up
Oh,
there.
okay.
Mhm.
So we eventually.
But I do remember them talking of that.
Yeah, we tracked down the cannon, and it was sold at an auction, and the guy who now has the cannon wants to have some history on it. Basically, we've passed on what we know, but we're always looking for somebody who might have been there the day that it happened, but that was
No,
after you left there.
yeah, it was after I was gone. I wasn't home anymore.
And even today, people play around with cannons and sometimes get their fingers hurt.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A
Does
dangerous.
your grandkids play with that?
No, they don't think the grandkids even knew I got them.
Well, they do now.
Unless they had seen when I had the cedar chest open or something, but yeah.
Well, that's amazing. We have those treasures, and they're very valuable. They're more valuable to you as
Yeah,
sentimental.
than anybody else, sure.
But this cute little doll here, you know, I think we can still visualize she had beautiful blonde hair.
Yeah, and my sister had one that had dark hair, and she was always kind of jealous, and mine had the blonde hair, and hers had the dark hair.
Now, we also talked to someone who had a brother that they buried their doll.
Oh,
And that was a very traumatic thing. Of course, it was in a shoebox, it didn't get any dirt on it, but the idea of how can you take somebody's doll? But brothers will be brothers.
yes, yes.
And boys seem to get a lot of enjoyment out of
bury
aggravating
the
their
doll.
sisters. Yes. Well, burying them
Yes.
a little.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Now, did you have other toys besides these that you remember? Did you have a bicycle when you were growing up?
No, none of us rode a bike. My youngest sister had a bike, but living out in the country, we had no place to ride it.
Right. You had gravel and dirt roads,
Yeah. Mhm.
and they weren't very conducive for
No,
bicycles.
we didn't have no bikes at all. I never did learn to ride a bike.
Well, it's not too late for that.
Oh, yes, it is. By far too low.
Get a motorbike.
Then I'd probably wreck with it.
Well, if you got a heavy foot on a motorbike, that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly have enjoyed the honor to interview our next door neighbor. We're hoping that there'll be other times that your grandkids or stuff will be able to see this, but you'll be able to pass some information on. And I think this is what I would like to remind our viewers. If you have a family member that's getting older, this is the time to interview them. Take your pencil and paper along and ask them questions. I didn't ask all the questions I should have early in my life of my grandparents and stuff like that. And now doing the research is about 100 times harder, and you don't know whether it's accurate.
Well, and it's hard though to remember, and then I'll probably later on think a lot of things I could have told you, but I know several of my grandchildren have said they were going to do this. That they
Well,
wanted.
crack the whip on them. Next time they show up, give them the pencil and paper and say, here it is. You start asking questions. In reality, that's why we have to do this. It's because that our memory kind of fades when we get older.
And it definitely does.
The grandchildren, like me, did not ask the questions when the person could have answered it.
Oh, I
Instead of
think of
doing-
that so often, sure. Even with my husband, his being in the Navy, I didn't ask him the questions that I think about now. He didn't talk about it much, and I wish I would have asked him.
And that
more.
generation came back from World War II, and they picked up their lives, and they went on, and a lot of them did suffer from the same things that our current soldiers do, and post-traumatic, there's some issues out there.
Terribly bad
But-
issues.
It was something that was not talked about, and that's unfortunate, because I found that some of my friends from the Vietnam era, we have a gathering or something like that, and the wife will say, he has never said one word about this till today. And it turns out that there are a lot of memories and a lot of time shared and a lot of experiences that should be shared with the rest of the world. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. So anyhow, encourage your grandkids to interview you, and then we'll compare notes later on.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay.